let us continue to stand for the ideals for which they lived and died. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Hello and welcome to our show, Justice for Veterans. I am your host, David Standridge. I am an attorney licensed to practice law in the state of New Mexico and have been practicing law in New Mexico since 1996. I am also accredited with the Veterans Administration to represent veterans on their disability claims before the VA, and I am also licensed before the Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims, which is the highest court within the VA system. We welcome you to our show today. We're excited that you're joining us today. We believe you'll find a lot of helpful, useful information regarding veterans issues in Justice for Veterans, and we invite you to engage with us on this show. We do this show really to educate the public about veterans issues, to spotlight veterans and thank them for their service. And we also do this show so that we can provide engaging interviews to inform the public about veterans issues. We do this show because we believe that veterans deserve justice, and they served and protected us, and now it's our turn to serve and protect them. So welcome to Justice for Veterans. In this segment of our show, we like to address a disability issue that's kind of a hot topic in the news. And before I tell you about what I want to address today, let me just invite you, if you have disability concerns or issues that you'd like for me to address on the show, just email me at info@justicelegalgroup.com and we'll answer your question to the best of our ability. But today I want to talk about what has become known as MST, which is military sexual trauma. It is a hot button topic. It's really a topic that arises because you have an individual who in the service, whether male or female, and they became victim of a sexual assault. It's not something that's fun to talk about, but more and more we're seeing evidence and indications that this is occurring with more frequency in our military to our servicemen and women. And oftentimes these cases are difficult because there are no service medical records and there are no records associated with them having been reported to the police. And that's because in the military, the culture of the military is such that that folks are told to keep it quiet. It's either shoved under the carpet or out of one's own sense of shame. They just aren't reporting it. So when I'm dealing with a disability claim that involves an MST, it is oftentimes difficult, but we help those veterans create the evidence that's necessary to establish it. Sometimes it's not just direct evidence, but circumstantial evidence of changes in behavior, drug and alcohol use or abuse, things along those lines where they report they're shifted to a different duty station or something. And so those circumstantial evidence can oftentimes be used according to VA regulations to establish that such a traumatic event actually occurred, even without direct evidence of military service records or health records. So MSTs are becoming a hot topic. If you have questions about disability, contact us, info@justicelegalgroup.com. Now we want to turn our attention and spotlight a veteran and say thank you for your service to our country and give them a great big salute. And so this week on our episode, we want to salute a particular veteran who was sent to us. This veteran's name is Aurelio Roybal. And Mr. Roybal served in the United States Marine Corps from 1965 until 1969. And just as an aside, that seems like a very dangerous time to have been a Marine. And in fact, he was a radio operator, and he was a radio operator who was stationed in Vietnam. And so obviously Mr. Roybal had great sacrifice that he gave for our nation and for us who are here today. And so this salute goes out to Mr. Roybal, and we say thank you for your service and your dedication to our country and to the cause of freedom throughout the world. And so we want to salute Mr. Roybal, and if you have a veteran that you would like to salute and give particular credit for and say thank you, then we urge you to send us an email. Drop us an email at info@justicelegalgroup.com. And when you do that, give us your name, your email address, and tell us the name of the veteran you'd like to salute. And if possible, even give us a photograph of the veteran so that we can provide that information and show their picture on our show. And so again, we say thank you to Mr. Roybal, and this salute is for you. Hi, I'm David Standridge from the Justice Legal Group. Our firm represents veterans and helps them obtain benefits in their disability cases before the Veterans Administration. We believe that you worked hard to protect our nation, and we want to work hard to protect you. Welcome back to Justice for Veterans. We are glad you're joining us today. We have a great guest with us today to give us a lot of good information regarding services to veterans and things that are going on in the veterans community. And so we want to welcome our special guest today from the Women's Veterans of New Mexico, the President, Judy Quintana, who's with us. Thank you, Judy, for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're excited to be able to talk to you today. And so we want to talk about what Women Veterans of New Mexico is doing and helping in the veterans community and doing some things in the community. But before we do, let's learn a little bit about you. Mm-hmm. Can you tell our audience a little bit about you and how you got involved in the veterans community?
Actually, for me, I retired in September 2011 from the Air Force. I was medically retired. I did 23 years. The Women Veterans in New Mexico organization had a conference that was going on, and my brother had got me an invitation to actually be there, and I was honored at that event for returning back from my 23 years of service.
Wow.
So it gave me an opportunity to actually connect with the different women that were in the community right away. Which really helped me because at the time, being medically retired, I was diagnosed with a PTSD.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk to you about that in a few moments. Mm-hmm. But let me ask, what branch of service were you in?
I was actually in the Air Force Security Forces.
Okay. And you joined, how old were you when you joined?
17.
17
years old.
What made you decide to go into the military?
My mother was actually the one that kind of guided me in that direction. I had just finished school and everything, and then I was working with one of the retail companies in our community, and then I had decided, wasn't sure what direction to go in, so she kind of guided me in the direction of going into the military. My brother had also served in the Army as a medic, so it ran in the family already.
And then 23 years later.
Yes, 23 years later, I'm back here. I'm originally from Santa Fe.
Awesome.
And it's nice to be back home. I really enjoyed it back in the community.
Good. And you told me, you just said momentarily ago that you were medically retired?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And you talked about, you're currently a disabled veteran?
Yes.
And do you mind sharing what your disability is?
No, it's actually been diagnosed as PTSD.
PTSD, that's
Correct.
a big thing going on right now.
Yes, well, and again, it's, I was going along with my normal duties that I had at work and everything, and then we ended up having an incident with me where I went into an episode kind of losing a little bit of control of what was going on with me. And it took them a while to stabilize me, and then within about a year they had decided that they couldn't actually fix what was going on, so they decided to medically retire me. And when I returned home, it was my family that was the support to be able to figure out what do we do next.
Sure.
So connecting with the women veterans really worked out well, because at one of our conferences that we had in 2011 that had all the different agencies available in the community to immediately network me with them. So I found an agency which is Presbyterian Medical Services in Rio Rancho that helped me with counseling and everything initially when I first got here.
Okay.
And it's worked out well. They've been able to stabilize the condition, and I'm still being monitored.
Well, good. That's great. And we want to thank you for your service to our nation. I don't want you to get into your personal, privacy issues. I'm not asking about that. But what would you say? I mean, because this show, we're real big about wanting to help veterans. We're big on wanting to help, particularly those who are facing disability issues. What would you say, what was your experience like going through that disability process?
I think one of the things was figuring out which agency was going to be able to help me with the disability claim. My mother had did a little bit of research before I'd actually came in, and the Disabled American Veterans is the agency she connected with. So she led me actually literally to that location, and they had worked on my claim that I needed for the VA. So they helped to fill out the paperwork and everything, and then through them it networks you also with the VA regional office to be able to turn your paperwork in, and that gives you an advocate that's going to help you to understand what's actually going on, because when you do come home in that state, you are confused in what you're actually doing.
Sure. What do you think about all the publicity that's happening right now? Because there's like a million backlog cases. What do you think about that?
I think right now they're trying to do as much as they can with the manpower that they actually have through the VA. They've been doing really well, trying to expedite the cases that they can. When I was actually stationed at my last base in active duty, they were also trying to figure out ways of expediting your package before you actually left that location, so it could start before you had left. So that way, that gave you kind of a heads up on what was going to happen at that next level when you return to your location.
Okay. Well,
so they have implemented ways to try to expedite it. Again, it is a lot of people that they're dealing with.
Sure. Hopefully there's some hope for these veterans and what they're facing with. So let's turn our attention now and talk more about Women's Veterans of New Mexico.
Okay.
What is Women's Veterans of New Mexico?
Women's Veterans of New Mexico is actually a women's network. When it started in 2006, it was actually a group where they got together just for camaraderie. So that way you'd have somebody to get together with when you actually return back to the community here. It's actually expanded a lot over the years since 2006. Now in 2013, we're actually a women veteran network for New Mexico. So what you actually do with that is we've been using different ways of communication to be able to find out what are the items that women veterans are actually dealing with. So we've encouraged them to email us, text us, call us via cell phone or landline, and then also communicate on Facebook and our website. So that way, anything that they're dealing with, we have a board of 9 that we actually have that gets that transmission that they actually send to us, and then we figure out how do we help them with that item. Some of them would be, a few were ladies that were losing their homes, so we'd connect them with agencies that would help them to renegotiate their contracts. Some people that were looking for service dogs. With PTSD, a service dog really helps you to kind of adjust to the environment that you're walking into. So we've been able to help them with some of that. And
That's
a
great.
few of items have been, we've also worked with social events, figuring out ways to get women back into the community. So we've had a few events that we've actually done locally, and then also we currently have donation drives that we're doing for New Mexico Stand Down, which is when we get the homeless ready for the winter season. In October timeframe, August, October, we start doing stand downs where we provide the needed items for those women veterans and male veterans that are homeless. So we give them their toiletry items and their clothes items that they need for the winter, a backpack, sleeping bag. So we've been working on that right now as one of the large items.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, is your group, is it a 501c3? Is it a nonprofit?
It's a nonprofit.
Okay.
It's a nonprofit organization. Everything that we get is donations that actually come in from those who are interested in what we're actually doing.
Okay, that's great.
So it really helps us out, and the community has been very helpful to be able to assist us with funds to be able to continue what we're doing for the women warriors of America.
Awesome. And how long have you been a part of Women Veterans for New Mexico?
I've actually been since in 2011 when I attended the conference that we'd actually had. So it's almost about 2 years now that
And
I've
now
actually
you're the president.
been. Correct.
Wow.
So now I'm the president of the organization. It's a great opportunity because when I did return home, it was one of those of you kind of isolate yourself away until you figure out the security in yourself. And then now I've been able to get myself out of that with the group being involved around me. Their support has helped me to be in this leadership position again.
That's great. Now, how long do you serve as president?
It's actually a 2-year position that I'll actually be in.
Okay.
And then for other board members, it runs the same thing, 2 years.
And so, as president, you are the face of the organization, right?
Yes. Actually, I've done my New Mexico tour has been pretty interesting. What we actually did in the past few months is we've expanded into the Farmington area. We have We're going to actually have people in Farmington area that'll help us manage what's going up in northern New Mexico. Central New Mexico, we'll work more with our 9 board members that we have, and then southern New Mexico, we have Linda McCoy that's actually down there that'll help us with what's going on in southern New Mexico. Some of the situations that happen aren't locally here in our community. I've had people that are down in southern New Mexico that need help with homelessness, and networking with having ladies in those areas helps us to be able to help that individual without moving them from their community that they're actually in.
You know, that's great to hear, because a lot of times, you know, we get, you know, we're here in Albuquerque. This is where the regional office is at. The biggest VA hospital. We get egocentric, so to speak. But there are a lot of veterans throughout New Mexico who need assistance, need to know how to plug in. So your group, helping women veterans, you're throughout the whole state of New Mexico.
Correct.
That's great.
Yes. So we're actually networking everywhere, so that way when a veteran's actually out there, they build a support system in that community that they've chosen to be in. And not necessarily can we always just pull them out and put them into another environment. With some people in some of their conditions, once you change them to a new environment, they react to it and it may not work for them. We've learned that the community here not always works for somebody. Sometimes they have to leave this state and go to another state to actually relax back into their own self.
Sure. Now, I want to talk to you about some of the services, the direct services that you're providing to veterans. But before I do, let me flip it and ask kind of behind the scenes. What are the needs that your organization has to help veterans? What are your needs administratively?
What we actually do is, one of the things is furniture. For the women veterans that are actually homeless, when they transition from our temporary emergency shelter program, which provides them a location for them to be able to stabilize and pull them off of the streets, while they're in that area that we provide them, that next stage that we get them into is getting them into an apartment. So to get them into that apartment, to lessen that stress on them, we use furniture that's actually donated from people: beds, lamps, dishes, clothes, and the different items. So the community helps us with that by providing those items that we need. And then we also have a logistics team of women veterans that actually moves that veteran to their next location. And we're trying to do those items so that they don't have to figure out, well, how do I get that service provided to me? They don't have any money, so we don't actually charge for it. So again, it's all a volunteer force.
Wow. Okay. So I'll tell you, when we talk to our guests, I mean, we here at Justice for Veterans, we want to accomplish several different things. But one of the things, when we have special guests like Judy telling us about her organization, we want to give that information so that veterans throughout the state are hearing about these services, but also maybe those of you who are financially better off than others, maybe those of you who are in a situation where you say, I want to help out these veterans, I just don't know what to do. We also want to relay to you what the needs are of these organizations so that you can get plugged in, helping our veterans here in the state of New Mexico. And you're hearing directly from Judy, the president of Women Veterans of New Mexico, telling us what their needs are. And of course, they're a 501c3, as they said. They need some money. They need assistance financially. But, you know, everyday things that we oftentimes take for granted, they're in need of. The furniture, the clothing, lamps, things that these individuals, these women need to help get them back on their feet.
Because if we don't have those items, then they're going to walk into a house with nothing and they'll sleep on the floor. Because for them, they're just looking for that area to have their shelter again.
Awesome. And I'm sorry for interrupting you, but so if someone's watching and they say, I want to get involved with Women Veterans of New Mexico, I want to be able to help these vets out, what do those people need to do? How do they reach you? How do they reach the organization to say, what can I do to help?
What they actually can do is they can call a cell phone number, which is 505-306-3756. That's actually the cell phone that I carry, and what ends up happening is once they contact me, I connect them with the different parts of the organization that we have to be able to get our logistics team there to be able to get the furniture that we need, or contact our treasurer to be able to make a cash donation if that's what they would like. We also have a website that they can go to for cash donations, which is womenveteransofnewmexico.com. And on there, they can go through PayPal to make their donation, or they can also just mail a donation into us from that.
Okay, that's great. Well, let's flip it now and talk from the perspective of a veteran, okay? How do you reach veterans? How do the veterans community know that you're out there? What's your marketing campaign, or what's your efforts? How do they know?
What we've actually done is we've attended different fairs that were actually going on. One was a job fair that was going on here in Albuquerque, the New Mexico Expo Job Fair. And at that event, we were able to meet some of the ladies within the community, which was about 35 of them. So we attend job fairs in Las Cruces. They recently had a Veterans Information Fair. So that gave us an opportunity down there in that community. In Farmington, we had also attended the New Mexico Department of Veterans Services Women Veterans Conference that they did on job skills. So again, that's how we're actually trying to network through all of New Mexico. And the other opportunity is any event that actually deals with veterans. Now that we deal with the homeless community at the stand down events, we'll be at those. And we've also been at Navajo Nation. They had a gathering that was going on in Crown Point recently, so we attended that also.
And I know we've been talking somewhat about the homeless veterans, but your group isn't just isolated of trying to network regarding assistance for homelessness. You help with other life skills.
Correct.
What else do you help with?
One of the other things we have is also an honor guard team. For those that still want to be an honor guard and want to be in their uniform, we have a team available of women that actually this August they'll go to their training session that they'll do in Santa Fe, and then they'll learn how to do folding of the flag again, posting of the colors. So that's an opportunity for them to stay in that camaraderie with a team. One of the other things that we do is just volunteer events. When we do the donation drives, we ask the volunteers to come in and help us to be able to collect the items that we need for the community of women veterans. So there were different ways that we've actually connected with them. Some of the things that we do is different social events. We've gotten together at Graham Central Station just to get the ladies out and have a nice little evening together. So we try to do different ways to connect with the community.
So Women Veterans of New Mexico sounds to me like a lifestyle organization.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Correct.
So I heard you say something, it was a little concerning to me, that when you came back you felt isolated, or you wanted to be isolated.
I was isolated. It was a year and a half before I actually left my community.
Wow.
Before I started moving around to the rest of the city.
Do you think that is a common feeling that women veterans have when they disengage from service?
With some of them it is, and that's one of the things that we've also focused in on, is figuring out ways of how do we get the women to come back into the community and be a part of it. Sometimes it's better for us to get together as a group than just traveling as one individual.
And why do you think that isolation happens?
I think it's security. You try to get back into that secure environment depending on the situation that you actually had happened to you while you were in your service for your country. Some situations you weren't intending. Military sexual trauma is happening, and we're aware of it very often. You volunteered to protect your country, but while you were there, you were attacked. So in that situation, you're coming back to the community that you lived in, but you're still not feeling safe. So that's where we come in, and we try to let you know we're here to watch you and help you and bring you back into the community and show you that it is safe and that we work as a team together. Because together as a team, we can make great things happen. But when you're sitting in that box by yourself, you're feeling isolated and you don't know what to do.
Yeah, those of us who've never had to face those kind of horrors, I mean, it's hard to wrap our mind around what people have to deal with when they come with that. What do you think is the biggest issue facing women veterans when they disengage from service and they're back in their communities?
It's reconnecting with your community, because when you actually come back, you're used to the military taking care of everything. What time you get up in the morning, do your physical fitness, feed yourself, get to work, do your mission, get off, go to sleep, and then it just repeats that cycle. When you actually come back into the community, you're in control of what you're actually supposed to do, and do the same thing of what I'm supposed to wear every day. So for us, it's definitely a change, and they try to do a transition assistance program to adjust you within a couple, 2 to 3 days, to let you know what it's going to be like when you walk out.
And so again, I'm emphasizing this word, Women Veterans of New Mexico is geared toward those lifestyle changes, right?
Correct.
And helping vets re-engage.
Correct.
So what would you say to those vets who are listening and they're women, they say, I never knew something like this was out there? What would you say to them? How do they get involved with you?
What we actually try to do is have them go to the website or give me a call personally. And that way on the 505-306-3756, we immediately connect them with the group. We text message, and that's one of the fastest ways we've been able to connect them with the community of what's going on. So what we try to do is have them go to the website, join the organization, and that way they can get involved with the other women that are around, because they're not alone. And that's the one thing that you feel, that when you get here, you're trying to figure out, how do I get myself reestablished, because you don't have that main support system you used to have before until you connect with an organization that shows you the support services that are available.
That's great. And Judy, we're running out of time, but real quick, what I want to get in, if you can tell us again your phone number, the website, and how often do you all meet?
We actually, quarterly, we meet at different locations throughout New Mexico right now that we're in different locations. If you go to the website, which is womenveteransofnewmexico.com, it'll actually let you know when we're doing our social events, calendar of events that are going on throughout the community. And if you want to get in contact with us, you can call 505-306-3756. And then we'll go ahead and connect you with whatever it is that you need help with.
That's great. Judy, I know on behalf of the veterans that we talked to, I want to say thank you. That's how we got hooked up with you, because of other people who've spoken very highly of you and your organization. So thank you for what you're doing for our veterans community.
Thank you very much.
So we want to say thanks again to Judy Quintana from Women Veterans of New Mexico. And very quickly, if you want to reach her, you can call her at 306-3756. And make sure you go and check out the website, which is womenveteransofnewmexico.com. And there you can donate to the organization, find out what their needs are, and if you are interested in joining them and helping them with their lifestyle reintegration plan for women veterans throughout our great state, then you can get plugged in by going there. So again, thank you to our special guest, Judy Quintana. We urge you to contact them, urge you to get involved with that great organization and to help them out. And if you know of an organization or another member of our community that's serving the veterans community and they would like to appear on Justice for Veterans, then give us a call or send us an email. You can call us at 880-8737 here in Albuquerque, area code 505, or you can email us, which is info@justicelegalgroup.com. And we're always looking for special guests who will give informative information for our veterans community so that we can help those vets that are watching us and throughout our great state, throughout our nation, plug back in and let them know that what they did and their sacrifices for our great nation were not in vain and that we appreciate what they did. So thank you again for joining us today. We again thank our special guest, Judy Quintana from Women Veterans of New Mexico, for being with us. And as we say goodbye today, we want to say thank you to all the brave men and women who have served our nation, and we appreciate what you did for us. We know that we cannot be here today without the sacrifice that you made on our behalf. So God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you for watching Justice for Veterans. A special thanks to the Ronald Reagan Foundation, the Justice Legal Group, and the veterans who have made this show possible. Tune in next week for a new episode of Justice for Veterans.